Ever wonder, like, where the idea of heaven even comes from?
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a lot more complicated than you might think.
Oh, way more.
Yeah, we're going to really dive into this whole concept of heaven today.
Yeah. The origins and paradoxes.
The origin of the paradoxes. We got articles.
Yeah.
We got theological discussions.
We got thought experiments.
We even have some philosophical thought experiments lined up.
I love those.
Ready to have your mind blown.
Let's do it.
Now, we often think of heaven as this, like, uniquely Christian idea.
Right.
But it actually draws a lot from earlier religions and cultures.
Yeah, you could almost call it like a cultural exchange of ideas about the afterlife.
Like, how did these ideas spread?
Yeah, like, for example, Zoroastrianism.
Okay.
This is a really early religion that introduced this concept of a dualistic afterlife, where you have, like, good and evil are in this constant cosmic battle, and souls are judged.
Right.
And they're sent to either paradise or punishment.
Interesting.
And you know what's interesting is that these ideas actually influenced Jewish beliefs.
Wow.
Centuries before Christianity even came onto the scene.
So Christianity is kind of like riffing.
Kind of building upon these previous ideas.
Yeah, riffing on these, like, ancient ideas about the afterlife.
It's true. And it wasn't just Zoroastrianism.
Oh, yeah. Who else?
The ancient Greeks, they had their Elysium, which was like a paradise reserved for heroes.
Interesting.
And then the Egyptians, they believed in the field of reeds.
What's that?
This place of eternal peace and abundance.
Wow. So all these ideas in their own way kind of contributed to how we think about heaven today.
It's like pieces of a puzzle coming together to form a bigger picture.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, here's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Early Jewish beliefs didn't have a heaven and hell
as
we know them now. They had this thing called Sheol.
Sheol, right.
And this was like a...
It was kind of like a shadowy neutral zone where everybody went after death. It didn't matter if you were good or bad.
It wasn't about, like, being good or being bad. You just went to this place.
It was just the afterlife. It was just like the continuation in a different form.
Interesting.
But that idea eventually shifted.
It did.
It did.
How so?
Well, Sheol, it kind of evolved into a more defined heaven.
Okay.
Like a specific reward for the faithful.
Gotcha.
And this shift wasn't just random. It really reflects, like, changing cultural values and, like, power dynamics.
So is it a way to, like, encourage good behavior?
Ooh, that's a good question.
By dangling this promise of a blissful afterlife.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Like, as societies became more structured, the idea of a reward-based afterlife might have helped reinforce those social structures.
Gotcha.
But, you know, it also speaks to, like, a deep human need for hope, for meaning.
Right.
For something beyond just this earthly existence.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's get into, like, a thought experiment here.
I love thought experiments.
That really challenges our assumptions about heaven.
Okay, hit me.
Okay, so imagine a woman who had multiple abortions during her life.
Okay.
She dies, and she finds herself in heaven.
Right.
But then she's confronted by the spirits.
Oh, wow.
Of those aborted fetuses.
That's intense.
All asking her.
This is heavy stuff.
Why, Mom? Why did you do this?
Wow.
I mean, that's a really...
That's a heavy scenario.
It's a very emotionally charged scenario.
But one that I think raises some profound questions about
the nature of heaven.
It forces us to really confront like the complex interplay of forgiveness, justice, and what it truly means to experience paradise.
Could true happiness exist alongside such a weighty encounter?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Would those spirits be there to torment her?
Yeah.
Or would they be seeking understanding?
Right. Would it be?
Would forgiveness even be possible in such a situation?
Like, what would that look like?
And would this even be a just outcome for either party?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It really makes you think about what justice and reconciliation could look like in a realm like heaven.
And it brings up another crucial point.
What's that?
Would her experience of heaven, you know, the joy, the peace that it's supposed to offer, would that even be possible with the presence of these spirits, regardless of their intentions? Or would her experience be completely overshadowed?
It really makes you think about the idea of manufactured happiness. Like, do we have to erase difficult memories to experience true happiness in heaven?
That's a deep question.
And if so, is that truly authentic joy?
Yeah, like are we even truly ourselves without those core memories?
And let's not forget about those who might not be in heaven.
Right.
Could anyone truly be happy
Yeah.
knowing that their loved ones are suffering elsewhere?
That's a tough one.
Would that imply like a loss of empathy
Yeah.
and compassion in heaven?
Like, are those things that we leave behind?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It challenges our understanding of love and connection.
It does.
Could we experience genuine bliss while knowing others are enduring unimaginable pain?
That's a really tough question to grapple with.
Yeah, it suggests a potential disconnect.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another way to look at all of this.
Okay, I'm open to it.
Have you ever heard of universalism?
I have.
It's this idea that ultimately everyone will be saved and reconciled with God.
Everyone gets in.
Even those who might traditionally be destined for
The pearly gates are open for everyone.
another fate.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So universalism offers like a very different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If we apply this lens to the woman and the aborted fetuses, it suggests the possibility of healing and understanding instead of eternal confrontation.
Right.
Imagine instead of accusations, maybe the spirits would be there to offer forgiveness and reconciliation.
Like a different kind of encounter.
Yeah. Not why, Mom?
Yeah.
But like, it's okay, Mom.
Yeah.
We understand.
It paints a very different picture.
Right.
It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
I imagine billions of people.
Crammed into heaven. That's a lot of people. How would relationships even work?
Yeah, how would you even find your loved ones in that crowd?
And what about personal growth?
That's a good question, too.
Did that just stop?
Like, do we reach our peak when we get to heaven?
When you get to heaven, those are all valid points.
They are.
If heaven is a state of perfect happiness, wouldn't eternal stagnation lead to boredom?
Yeah.
Or a sense of meaninglessness?
Yeah, that's interesting to consider.
Right.
It makes you question the nature of time and progress in a supposedly timeless realm.
Okay, get ready for this one.
Hit me.
If we can't sin in heaven, does that mean we still have free will?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or are we just programmed to be good?
The classic paradox of free will and determinism in heaven.
It's a question that's puzzled theologians and philosophers for centuries.
Oh, sure.
If we have true free will in heaven,
wouldn't it be possible to rebel against God?
Even there.
Even there.
Yeah.
But if free will is taken away, are we even truly ourselves anymore?
That's a really good question.
Are we just mindless automatons?
Right. It's almost like a philosophical zombie situation.
Yeah.
You know, like, are we just going through the motions?
And here's another thought.
Okay.
If everything is already decided, is heaven just the inevitable end of a pre-written story?
So you're getting into the concept of determinism. Like, is it all preordained?
Does that diminish the meaning of our choices and actions in this life?
It really challenges our understanding of, choice and responsibility in a big way.
For sure.
Makes you wonder if the whole heaven thing, as we usually picture it, is more about control than, like, real freedom.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, be good or you'll miss out on all this.
Right.
Like, does that feel kind of manipulative to you?
It definitely raises questions about, like, why these ideas even came about,
Yeah.
Are they supposed to, like, help us be better people, or are they just ways to keep everyone in line and following the rules?
Yeah, and even if we, like, forget about that for a second.
Okay.
Sometimes I wonder if this whole concept of heaven with its pearly gates and eternal singing is a bit outdated.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a never-ending church service.
To some people, that might sound great.
Not exactly my idea of paradise.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But where's the growth?
That's a good point. It's like a very limited view of what forever could be.
Exactly.
Wouldn't you want challenges and new things to learn and experience?
Totally.
Maybe even a little conflict to spice things up?
Right. Like if everything's perfect all the time, wouldn't we just get like numb to it?
Yeah, you lose the ability to even appreciate the good stuff if you never had anything to compare it to.
It's
like those lottery winners who end up miserable.
I was just thinking that.
Sometimes having it all can actually backfire. It's about balance, The ups and downs are what give life meaning.
Okay, so here's another thought experiment.
Okay, let's hear it.
What if heaven isn't a physical place at all?
Okay.
But like a state of being?
Oh, interesting.
What if it's not about streets of gold?
So more of an internal transformation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, instead of going somewhere special, you become something special.
Right. It's like that saying, heaven is a state of mind.
I like that.
Maybe it's not about where we go after we die.
It's not like a prize you get, but something you work towards.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder if our idea of heaven is always changing.
Yeah.
Because our understanding of ourselves and the universe is always changing too.
You're totally right. Our vision of heaven probably reflects our deepest hopes and fears in any given time period. As we learn and grow as a species, our idea of what comes next changes too. It's about exploration and discovery.
It's way more interesting than just ending up at some fixed destination anyway.
Exactly.
Wow, this conversation has really made me think.
Me too.
It's crazy how just talking about heaven can teach us so much about what it means to be human.
It really makes you examine your own beliefs and values and where you fit in the grand scheme of things.
I have one final mind-blowing question for you. What if heaven isn't something that happens after we die, but something we create while we're still alive?
Okay, so you're saying like heaven isn't a place we go to?
Yeah.
But like a way of living right now.
Exactly. What if it's about bringing those qualities we associate with heaven?
Okay.
Love, compassion, joy, connection, into our everyday lives.
Like creating little pockets of heaven right here on Earth.
That's the idea.
I like that.
Instead of waiting for some amazing afterlife, we can actively try to make the world a more heavenly place right now.
So it's about like spreading kindness, understanding compassion,
working towards a more just and compassionate society.
Right, because we're all connected. Our actions affect each other way more than we realize.
For sure.
And when we try to live with those qualities, we're all helping to create a better world for everyone.
And that never really ends.
It's a constant process of growing and evolving.
Both as individuals and as a species.
Exactly. And maybe that's what we should really take away from all this.
Yeah.
Heaven isn't some fixed destination.
Right.
It's a journey.
It's about becoming more ourselves.
More connected to each other.
More in tune with that good part of us all.
I love it.
Well, that brings us to the end.
That was amazing.
We've covered so much.
We did.
From the history to the philosophy.
And even got to imagine what it would be like to create heaven right here.
Right here on Earth.
Which I think is a really beautiful thought.
We hope this has made you think about your own understanding of heaven.
Yeah, what does heaven mean to you?
What kind of heaven are you building in your own life?
And in the world around you?
Those are the questions we leave you with today.